distinguished guests, participants,
Xin kính
friends.
chào tất cả quý vị.
I'm here last year for the Security Summit. I'm happy to be back again delivering keynotes. I'm thankful that the summit still carry on in spite of the COVID-19 situation. And of course, unfortunately, I can't travel this time and I'll deliver it via remotely. This morning, I'm going to share with you some key potential risks. These potential risks may not be the latest advanced threats or malware that is coming our way. But these three key areas that I'm going to share this morning are equally important, but they are often neglected. Sometimes, to a lot of us, it can be common sense. These three key areas are cyber hygiene, internet threats, and human is the weakest link. Cyber hygiene is something that is to be part of our everyday life, but often because it becomes something that is ongoing, it can become mandatory, but forget about it. We can be negligent about it. First, we need to know what we can see. We cannot plan anything that we cannot see. Do we have the visibility of what's happening around in our network, in our endpoints, or even into the cloud? Are you constantly monitoring your networks? Are you constantly patching or update the fixes that the technologies, the application is releasing? Most important of all, how are you securing your critical data? We need to identify where are our key assets in our organization. There are many things in our organization that we need to protect. It is impossible to protect every single one of them. We need to prioritize, to put the resources necessary to secure what is important, that if they are compromised, they have devastating effect to the organization. These are some of the key best practices I'd like to share for you to take notes. You can put technology, put people to prevent what is happening, but you need to put tests. You need to stress test your application. You need to stress test your incident response processes to do a health check on your system to ensure and hopefully surface what are the gaps so that you can mitigate them. Second, not all threats come from external. Internal threat is extremely important as well. There's a hot topic now going on in the market talking about zero trust. Indeed, everyone within the organization potentially can be a threat. These are some of the key possible reasons why insider attacks can take place. We should not assume that insider threat is not going to take place. Rather, we should have the mindset of when it will happen and it will happen. And with that mindset, we adopt a zero trust framework as cybersecurity. We need to adopt a mindset that everyone in the organization can be a potential risk to the organization. Every data that the employee is holding, it is important, it is in their hands that they need to hold this responsibility, to use it responsibly, and to secure it, especially the privileged rights account holder? Do you have a policy for privileged account holders, especially the length of time that they can use this account? I'd like to share with you one report from Foreman reports on cost of insider threats. There are some key points that I want to highlight from these reports. Insider threats is on the rise. Insider threat have been due to negligence as one of the number one cause. And the cost of containing insider threats is snowballing. It's on the rise and is increasing tremendously. Therefore, it's something that we should not take lightly of. Some of the best practices that I want to share with you this morning about containing insider threats is to adopt a zero trust mentality, a zero trust security strategy. There's a lot of zero trust framework in the market. You can search the web, you can discuss about it, but it's something that I would like to encourage you to look into this. Second, it's not about just detecting the malware out there, but to have a predictive behavior analysis of the inside of the network as well. Not only just on your network, but you're adopting a cloud strategy, have this behavior analysis in the cloud as well. What we're going to achieve out of this behavior analysis is to surface suspicious indicator that may potentially be a malicious insider threats. Data loss prevention. This is an old technology, but I think it's still pretty sufficient. It's still pretty important. What we want to detect here is the potential risk of data exfiltration. End of the day, the threats that is coming in, what they want is to get the information of interest to them, to get the information that is important to you, that if were to compromise, it can cause reputational or even financial loss to the organization. Finally, my third point for this morning, human is the weakest link. In fact, the history has been repeating itself. We can put the best technology in place, but if one of your employees is negligent and it opens up a door, a back door for the hackers to come in, whatever technology you have in place may not help. A lot of studies have been done on the human, and these are the three areas that I'd like to highlight to you this morning. Negligence, indeed. Some areas of negligence include carelessness in handling data, carelessness in poor password management. Are these still happening in your organization? Are there policies in place to mitigate them? Studies have also shown that humans are habitual and forgetful. Humans tend to get complacent over time. An organization may have incidents that takes place. And during that time, a lot of attention will be put into it. A lot of mitigation steps will be executed. However, when the event is over and over a long period of time, complacence sets in. People get back to their old habits. And when enforcement is not in place, attack can happen again. Lastly, vulnerability. Indeed, human in us, we as a human are vulnerable. The hackers are constantly feeding on our greed, on our fear. They have all the time in the world to keep trying, to keep preying on our vulnerabilities. It is on our part that we need to be vigilant all the time. And because we are vulnerable, it is very difficult. Sometimes we may let our guard loose and fall into the trap. I want to cite with you or share with you one example that I personally come across. And indeed, it's not just a one-time experience I had. It happens to all organizations, it happens to a lot of people. This is a very simple email that I received recently. The content is very clear. It just says that your teammates are trying to reach you. Please click on this link, join the Microsoft Teams so that you can get into that discussion with them. It says that if you're not careful, you will just click on the link and that's it. Malware payload may be downloaded into endpoints and the hacker activities will start to take place. But if you look at it carefully, if you look at the senders, the Microsoft is spelled differently. How many of us will pay such attention to it? How many of us will go into the details to check all these things before you click on the button? Cybersecurity involves educating the people in our organization. It is not just about educating the IT people, the cybersecurity people. No, it is a company-wide education that you need to do to raise the awareness. The training is not about a one-time, it has to be continuously because humans like us are habitual, we can get complacent and vulnerability can take place. In some of our organizations, there are policies that enforce every employees to take cybersecurity awareness training. Yes, their attendance will be monitored, but more important, they need to take tests. By doing online training, some of them may just skip it. But you need to enforce with tests. Even there are products out there that can inject sample phishing attacks, like what I showed you just now, to test employee alertness. And if they were to fall into the trap, single them out for counseling, for retraining, so that the company can get better. But training is only one step. Responsibility have to come together with it. The responsibility is not in the hand of the IT department, it's not in the hands of the cyber security department. It is everyone within the organization must be held accountable. Everyone must have that responsibility because everyone is working for the organization, working for this organization that you have handling the data in your hand. You have the responsibility to hold, to safeguard all this information, all these assets that you are given trust in. Last but not least, with education and responsibility, it must be the culture of the organization top down. It must start from the very top, and everyone must have the DNA in them that cybersecurity is part of the culture. That it is everyday responsibility that we need to be aware that potential threat can happen. Most of the threats that we read in the news, the high-level incidents or breaches that big organizations are experiencing, most of them, if not all, are linked to negligence of the human being, negligence of the employees that potentially create a backdoor for attackers to come in. What I shared this morning may be very basic, even common sense, but if we did not take all these into focus and do all this due diligence well, you can chase after the latest technology in the world, but you can still get hacked. I hope this morning sharing is a good alert to you. It's a good information and useful to you. I wish everyone here well and successful and have a fruitful summit moving forward. Thank you very much. I hope to see you again.